image of a young elf warrior clad in a green tunic and hat, wielding a sword, riding his noble steed as he rode off to the world. A castle standing proud in the background is a memory I distinctly remember seeing once in a magazine in junior high. I never thought of it much, dismissing it as the newest fad or just the latest video game for a certain audience. Sometime later, that same green tunic-wearing elf appeared again on my TV screen, where his hat became a bird and he could shrink. Another elf appeared in royal pink regalia on the side of the screen, and another commercial graced my eyes with the warrior splitting into four. It didn't take long for me to know that this elf-looking character, with the most infamous green tunic and sword, would become a part of my life, just as he did with so many people 35 years ago. The Legend of Zelda is, in its bare bones, your typical story of you being the hero who would defeat the big bad guy and save the princess. This story has been told to us since we were born, and being able to take on the role as the hero brought us a sense of joy and importance. Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto gave us that experience with the original Zelda back in the NES console, to the latest entry in the Legend of Zelda saga on the Switch. Switching it up with every entry, but keeping those rules. You're the hero, Ganon is the bad guy, save Princess Zelda. Well, except Majora, which was the exception. Fans of the games will argue and debate over which game is the best and which one is their favorite, whether or not their nostalgia goggles were attached. And these goggles can be really difficult to take off. Many have spoken with such passion and vigor over how Ocarina of Time revolutionized the series. Others shout to the heavens that Majora's Mask bashed their expectations and brought out such emotions while having impending doom looming over them. And many have voiced their love over Wind Waker despite its original reception. I can go on and on about each entry in the series, but we'd be here all day. Anyone who has played a Legend of Zelda title will almost always have their first Zelda game be their favorite. Or maybe an entry they've played not too long ago has become their favorite despite it not being their first. That's what I believe to be the magic of Zelda. Each entry is different and will always welcome newcomers into its world and make you care. Despite my opinion being that the first two Zelda entries weren't that good. I'm sorry, just put down those pitchforks, please. As a small celebration for its 35th anniversary, I wanted to talk about both my first and favorite Zelda games. I didn't know how else to title the video, but yes, this is 2 games. And before we begin, there will be some spoilers for these games' stories. These are old games, or just old enough that you should have known by now. Let's dive in, shall we? As mentioned before, many people's first Zelda is typically their favorite, and my first was as well for some time, before another entry took the throne. Was this a pretender? Was my first Zelda a fake? Do you ever feel a strange sadness as dusk falls? I remember buying my Wii console with my own money. I was excited for Super Smash Bros. And all the games that would eventually find their way onto my library, and when I saw that cover, I knew it was time for me to enter the world of Hyrule for the very first time. Kind of odd that I began with this entry when many have started with happier titles. People were quite disappointed when the next generation of 3D Zelda ended up being Wind Waker after that presentation of a more serious Zelda at one time. Their wish was met just a few years later with Twilight Princess. This entry in the series has Farm Boy Link, living the idyllic life in Ordon Ranch until dark forces disrupt the peace, kidnap the village children, and surround the area in a dark shadow that is the Twilight Realm. Thanks to his unknown Triforce of Courage, Link is transformed into a fierce beast and joins forces with a weird Twilight imp named Midna, who has some nefarious scheme up her sleeve and some pretty heavy baggage to lift the grip that the Twilight Realm has on Hyrule and stop their cruel king, Zant. That's the story in a nutshell and done under 3 minutes, excluding the more story-heavy details like how Zelda gave in to Zant's wishes to keep her citizens safe, how one of the kidnapped children has amnesia, and other stuff that occur throughout the story and side missions. The gimmick for this game is Link's ability to transform into a wolf. You can only achieve this at first when you're in the Twilight Realm. It's not until after the halfway point where you can transform at will anywhere at any time, along with the concept of the Twilight Realm that we haven't seen in a while in other entries of the series. It was with this game that I got the whole gameplay mechanic of going to places to retrieve certain items to achieve a goal and eventually beat the game. The first half of the game involves Link and Midna joining forces to get the fused shadows, pieces of her crown thing, in order to match their power with Zant and put an end to his conquering of Hyrule. After doing that and getting yipped by Zant and burned by the light that, in his words, she oh so craves, they go to Zelda, who's held captive in her own castle to save Midna's life. The second half begins when Midna leads Link to the Gerudo Desert to locate their gateway into the Twilight Realm, a mirror, which just so happens to be broken. Time for another fetch quest, getting the mirror shards to enter the Twilight Realm. They get the thing, helping people along the way, and Midna's original view on the Hylians and all the different people who live in Hyrule changes, and she realizes that this world is worth saving. I really liked seeing this with a character that originally felt like she was lying to you and pulling your strings for her own nefarious means. You know, being a bitch, and watching her progress and develop as a character. She was my first companion and I loved her. Midna's witty, sarcastic, blunt, but she's also caring, and when we not so subtly discover that she's, in fact, the Twilight Princess, you then get a whole new look on her, knowing that she's been carrying this weight of responsibility to her people and how her thirst for revenge against Zant, the fake king, blinded her. Don't get me wrong, this bastard deserves worse than death. But she was overtaken by that desire that she turned into a little fucking gremlin. After Zant literally turned her into a gremlin. And of course, I asked myself, where the heck is Ganon? Or Ganondorf? I've seen him in Smash and other Zelda stuff. Where is he? Well, he's the reason Zant got jacked and dethroned Midna. And it's our job to not just defeat Zant, but also Ganondorf, who used the pretend king to get back to the Realm of Light and take over Hyrule after being banished into the Twilight Realm. Many of the dungeons and temples were designed rather well when I first played it, but now as a more seasoned gamer, I realize that they're mostly designed around the item you obtain in said dungeon, from the boomerang to the claw shots and the rod that controls statues. I want to say that around half of them aren't even used that much outside their dungeon and Hyrule Castle, but I do have to admit, both Farron Woods and the Snow Peak Mansion with the cute Yeti couple did make me look up a guide because I had no idea what to do in order to progress. It was also the first time I looked up a video walkthrough on YouTube. It's so common nowadays, but it was an odd concept for me back then. The idea of leveling up was already programmed in my head that the concept of just gaining more hearts to boost your life points and hunt down the specter of a golden wolf to learn better moves was a bit of a foreign gameplay mechanic for me. So used to the idea of going out to defeat monsters and get that sweet EXP, I had to get used to learning when to attack and when to dodge in order to stay alive with the few hearts I had. I mean, this game came out in 2006. I was already 14. I've defeated Ansem so many times, but hey, no one's an expert in these things when they're young. I also learned a very hard lesson with this game. Don't attack the cuckoos. After beating the game and just taking everything in, I had to admit, the world of Hyrule was pretty cool. As my first true introduction to the saga, I was pretty satisfied with it. I do have to confess that the whole timeline concept was a weird idea, but I did take it at face value before Nintendo caved and made it canon. So what did I do after playing Twilight Princess? Did I go and get some of the other titles to see if getting the entire saga was worth it? Yes I did. And it was a mistake. I went onto the Wii's shop and purchased the original Legend of Zelda and The Adventure of Link. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what to do, I didn't grow up with either the NES or SNES, and it's a sad day when I have to say that I didn't like either of these titles. More power to you if you grew up with them and loved them, but they were so confusing, and having to look up a guide in order to burn a specific bush so you can get the magic whatever, or find a secret dungeon to get the Ring of Ultimate Power was not what I wanted in a Zelda game. And these were the first titles. This is post-production recording, and I kind of forgot to say that this original concept for the first two Zelda games was mostly inspired because of Shigeru Miyamoto exploring his surroundings, like the surrounding forest, the surrounding caves, so that didn't click with me back in the day. But now that I know, I do kind of realize that this was a big mistake on my part, but then again, I don't want to try and play these games again in my lifetime. Again, more power to you if you like them. They're not for me, and I still hope you guys enjoyed it. Skyward Sword was my next Wii title, but it was such a shift to me, specifically when comparing to Twilight Princess, that I just grew bored of it when I reached that weird desert with the time travel rocks. Or whatever it's called. Put down your torches and pitchforks. This is what I was thinking at the time. I might change my opinion if I ever decide to buy Skyward Sword again. And I wrote this before the Nintendo Direct that announced the HD version for the Switch, so expect me to give this game another chance. Ocarina and Majora appeared on the 3DS. I have them. I tried playing Ocarina on the N64 before I got my hands on the 3DS version. I think I stopped playing once finishing the Forest Temple and getting Sheik's songs for both the Water and Fire temples. I haven't really played Majora, and knowing that it's on a time limit for those 3 days, I'll need a guide attached or else I won't make it. Years and years pass, remakes and HD versions of the game's release, new entries to the saga either bring overwhelming joy or utter disappointment, yet there was one title that people were beyond excited for. The creators of the game promised a new vision for this title, and the "this game is never coming out" memes at least made people laugh as they waited for a release date and or story details. But it came. In 2017, it graced our gamer brains. What would make the Nintendo Switch the #1 gaming console for the holidays? My favorite Zelda title. And it graced the Wii U as well. This game made us froth at the mouth. We were willing to swallow that earwax tasting cartridge for that sweet release.
Oh, it tastes like earwax! Oh my god,
I'll taste the other
Oh,
one.
it tastes like earwax!
Ew! Ew, it's totally coated in something! Ew!
The waifus and husbandos for the ages, and making Link look utterly adorable. Breath of the Wild broke the mold, brought in new ideas and made Skyrim jealous, I swear. This open world Zelda title lets you roam free like a hamster on caffeine. You could do whatever you want after getting the glider. You want to hunt down the 5 fairies? You can do that. You want to take pictures of every single enemy? Go for it. You want to fight the Ganongu with nothing but a spoon and boxer shorts? Sure, why not? This game, for me, is the most simple and yet the most complex Zelda game to date. The world of Hyrule is your oyster, and this oyster has lasers. The story is as thusly. After you're in the 100-year ancient pressure cooker, Link awakens by Zelda's voice imploring him to help at Hyrule Castle. The old man who waits for you outside of the shrine teaches you the simple mechanics of the game, along with 4 other shrines that serve as your tutorial for Apple's new Sheikah iPad. Available now for $89.99. It doesn't just take pictures or serve as a map for the world. It also produces bombs, grabs metal objects, makes ice blocks, and freezes items in place for a certain amount of time. No more worrying about having the correct item or running out of bombs. Once the old man reveals himself to be the deceased king of Hyrule, you're free to roam the world and discover its wonders and dangers. Meeting up with Impa in Kakariko Village and learning about your past, your mission is updated. Calamity Ganon is the target, and you must go save Princess Zelda. So much to do, so much to see, but you can do it at your own pace and however you want. Personally, I did get to both Kakariko and Hateno villages, did what was needed to do there, and then I went off to expand the map as much as possible, while also activating as many shrines as I could. I maxed out my stamina while having 5 hearts, met my future husband, gave money to the drag queen fairies, helped my future husband, then got 13 hearts total before freeing all the divine beasts, visited my future husband, and got all the memories while upgrading my gear and marrying my future husband. Wait a minute. I may not have been able to record these because I was playing it on my own time, but a few highlights of my playthrough included dying the first time, sliding off a cliff, Sheikah waifu, the Building Brothers, Rupee's drag race, my little stallion, bananas for days, step on me senpai, my precious baby girl who I love very much, no boys allowed, getting killed by volcanic eruption, shit, destroying my first guardian, killing Mufasa,
assuming direct control,
making Link look prettier than I ever could, and last but not least, highly disliking the weird-off British voice that they gave Zelda.
Don't you see? There's nothing more I can do!
Hey,
We don't talk like that.
I don't know about you guys, but that accent sounds super fake and I don't like it. More power to you if you like it. I just can't see why. Sorry.
And stop following me!
One of the biggest changes in this game compared to the rest of the series is how short-term your weapons last. This was the #1 thing that can either make or break the game for many people. Some like it, some hate it. I myself really enjoyed it because it kept me on my toes. I didn't have the luxury to get attached to a certain weapon or shield and expect it to stay with me forever. This is like real life. Things wear out and you gotta get a new upgrade or a temporary replacement. If I'm not mistaken, we had this kind of mechanic in Skyward Sword but for the shields. Please confirm in the comments section. I did make the mistake of selling off my diamonds and precious gemstones to get the fireproof outfit at Death Mountain. Oh yeah, that's one of my problems with this game. Why would you put the specific armor set that helps you arrive at a certain destination with those weather conditions in that same destination? Like, I understand if it was meant to test our resolve and see if we got good at cooking up elixirs and meals to help counter those weather conditions when reaching our destinations, like the Rito Village and Goron City, but Jesus Christ! I needed those armor sets! Skyrim didn't have this problem. At the very least, have them be a part of a mission to get them for free or at a discount, like Link's Gerudo outfit. I did find out later that I could have gotten a piece of the fireproof armor by this one dude in the Goron mines, which would have helped me spend less money on the rest of the armor, but it was too late and I only got an extra. I don't know if it's the same for the Rito outfit, please let me know in the comments. But hey, what did I think about the shrines and this game's version of the temples with the divine beasts? With the shrines, they did test my resolve in getting the spirit orbs that would help in raising my stamina meter and my health. Be it a riddle type of test, the broken motion control trials, the test of strength that gave me heart palpitations, or my favorite ones, just find me outside and that's proof enough. Have a piece of candy. I didn't complete all of the shrines, and I don't expect to finish them all. There's some that sound too difficult, like that Man vs. Wild one. Unless I'm bribed, I won't do it. Like I won't search for every seed. For the divine beasts, I thought they were an interesting idea. Far off were the temples with that one item in them that'll help you finish the rest of it and fight off the boss. It's big brain time with these babies. I went for Super Butterbuns' suggestion and went for Va Ruta first, proving myself to my husband as I rode his back trying to get inside the damn elephant. It was a good introduction to how this game's temples would be from here on out. It did test my intelligence with the whole trial and error thing until I got it and fought the first of 4 Ganon Blights, the things that killed off the former champions. From there, I freed Va Rudania, Va Medo, and lastly, Va Naboris, who can go and kiss Anakin's burnt ass. All that sand, coarse and rough, it gets everywhere. Thunderblight Ganon can kiss my ass, but it was worth it in the end if it meant I could see my beautiful wife. All divine beasts freed, all champions' blessings obtained, time to defeat the Ganon Goo and save the fake British princess.
I thought I made it clear that I'm not in need of an escort.
I'm never gonna let that die. Nintendo and the entire team pushed this game to its limits, and it shows. It's not because of its prowess compacted in one tiny cartridge that has this game as my favorite Zelda title. It's the freedom, it's the world, it's the fact that the game gives you complete and total control of what you decide to do with it. Not to mention the art style and the characters I wished could have been explored more beyond just mere memories or mere minutes of screen time. I wouldn't get this until Age of Calamity, which I need to get. I need my husband and wife. I have to admit, me talking about my journey with Zelda may look like small potatoes for those who are lucky enough to have played the game since the very beginning, or have been exposed to it at a very young age thanks to a friend or family member. Everyone has their own story, and this was mine. Instead of being a Gamergate dude bro and berate people for not having the same experience as you, or that their favorite Zelda game isn't your favorite or it's not Majora or Ocarina, be an actual human being and just listen. Everyone's experience is different, and that's awesome. I'm excited to see what Breath of the Wild's sequel will surprise us with next, aside from Dehydrated Ganon. It's gonna be sick! So tell me, what was your first Zelda game? Which one is your favorite? Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to be notified of any future videos, click on that bell. And if you're feeling generous today, you can support me on Patreon with numerous rewards depending on your budget. Or if you want to do a one-time donation, you can buy me a Ko-fi. Links can be found in the video description. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Gutslove, and I need to take a nap. Bye-bye.